In this section, we will present information on a behavioural change model. This model is called the Transtheoretical model, or otherwise known as the stages of change. If you have ever tried to make a New Year's resolution, you might understand that it can be hard to make a lasting change, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. Here are the 3 key questions to look at while attempting to make a change. What makes people ready to change their behaviour? How do people make lasting changes? Why is changing behaviour difficult? The Stages of Change model was developed in the 1980s by psychologists Prochaska, DiClemente and Norcross. They originally looked at research on giving up smoking, looking at the 3 previous key questions. What they were specifically interested in was, what made some people successful at giving up? How did people prepare? And what made people stay stopped and other people to stop and start and stop and start? From that, they developed a theory that people go through fairly predictable stages. It isn't a linear process, but more of a circular process, which we will look at in more detail later. The model has been widely applied to a variety of significant behaviour changes, things that profoundly affect the way a person views their life, and sometimes even their identity. The model has been applied to substance abuse and other behaviour type addictions, and to medications and treatment compliance for mental and physical illness, such as diabetes or high cholesterol, even heart attack survivors, as well as diet and exercise. In a visual model of the stages of change, it shows that people can move back and forth in either direction, from one stage to the next. For example, they might go from the action stage backwards to preparation, or forwards to maintenance. Relapse is an event outside the change cycle, but it is still part of the stages. In the cycle, there is also an exit point. The stages of changes have also been called a process model. Some people give the stages different names, and some even have a number of different stages, but for the purpose of this presentation, we will be using a 6-stage model. Initially, the person identifies that there is a problem that they might want to change. Then they begin to change behaviours to address that problem, and then they learn to live without that problem. We will be talking about the stages of change in a linear fashion, but in real life, more often than not, it is not linear. It tends to be a circular or spiral path. Once again, movement is possible in either direction. People can move in and out of a variety of behaviours and identities, by choice or by accident, or naturally aging out of a behaviour. The complexity of change is key to keep in mind. Ambivalence is the hallmark of change. Ambivalence can remain throughout all the stages, but it is strongest at the beginning. It can come from both internal and external pressures, though the stages stay the same. External pressures might be what someone else wants for the person, family and friends, or even the courts. Internal pressures are pressures that a person puts on themselves. One of the keys is to strengthen internal pressure to change, and to recognise what external pressures are helpful to change process and what external pressures are getting in the way and may need to be eliminated from the person's daily routine. People might be in different stages for a variety of behavioural issues at the one time. Someone might be in the maintenance stage for alcohol, but in the action stages regarding cigarettes. They might be in the contemplation stage in regards to gambling, but at the same time be in pre-contemplation regarding jogging. Smart Recovery is a 4-point plan, and the tools are all based on the stages of change model. We welcome people at all stages of the change model, including those who are unsure if they want or need to change. The tools and techniques of Smart Recovery are stage specific. Involvement in the Smart Recovery program supports an individual's movements through this change process. This diagram shows how the Smart Recovery program fits within the stages of change pretty neatly. In the first, in the pre-contemplation stage, we help them to enhance self-awareness. Point 1. Enhancing motivation relates to contemplation and preparation. Point 2. Coping with urges helps someone dramatically when they get into the action phase. Point 3. Problem solving and better managing thoughts, feelings and behaviours leads directly to the maintenance phase. Point 4 is the point before the exit stage and covers lifestyle balance. In relation to managing relapse, Smart Recovery teaches how to learn from a relapse. In pre-contemplation stage, the person thinks, I don't have a problem. At this stage, the person is not even thinking about changing. They don't recognise that they have a problem or are discouraged about their ability to change. During this stage, Smart Recovery would discourage labelling or judgment. Consider a use log as homework if they are interested. This can heighten self-awareness. Use cost-benefit to question the rationale. In the contemplation stage, the person recognises there is a problem, but they're not ready to take action. There tends to be a lot of ambivalence, anger and frustration about the whole thing. Weighing up the pros and cons of changing and using the Smart Recovery approach can help them get through this by normalising the ambivalence, validating their feelings and emphasising free choice. They get to choose what they want to change in their lives. During preparation, the person acknowledges that there is a problem and they are determined to do something soon. Smart Recovery's approach for helping a person in preparation is to complete change of plan worksheets. Maybe suggest that they set a quick date and use brainstorming to explore options. Smart Recovery supports whatever works for the individual. They might want to go to detox. They might do a treatment program. They might do therapy. They might use medications. They might use another program. Whatever works for them works for us. Now we arrive at the action stage. During this stage, the person is taking steps towards change. During the action stage, there is quite a bit of experimenting. It is filled with trial and error, and commonly the person will experience relapse. At this stage, a lot of focus and energy is put into changing behaviour. During this stage, we can help by encouraging them to attend meetings as frequently as they possibly feel comfortable, and in doing lots of homework and self-study. Smart Recovery doesn't have sponsors, but peer support can be found within the meeting framework as well as online, the message boards and chat rooms. The tools that you can use at this stage are urge log, using coping tools and role play, which can help build on rehearsal and refusal skills. Sometimes it is difficult for family members and friends to get used to the change that someone is making. During the maintenance stage, the person is beginning to feel more comfortable with the new behaviour and their new identity. Less time and energy is needed to sustain the change. Relapse is still possible, but less likely. This stage starts around 6 months into the change and lasts up to 5 years. Smart Recovery teaches that people should continue to attend meetings as long as it is helpful. This stage is a good opportunity to begin to learn how to manage thoughts, feelings, behaviours and emotions in a healthy way. It takes practice to begin to integrate these newly learned tools. During this stage, a person may find themselves with a lot of time on their hands, maybe where they used to drink, and then they spend that time focusing on the recovery. So long-range goal setting and lifestyle balance come into play here. Smart Recovery does encourage people in this stage to consider volunteering to enhance their own recovery, as well as to give back to the organisation to help sustain and grow Smart Recovery. At the exit stage, changes become the new normal. It is unlikely that the person will revert back to the problem behaviour, and it takes minimal effort to sustain the new behaviour. It has now become integrated with the person's identity. During this stage, Smart Recovery encourages the person to align their values and goals with their behaviours, and that it is possible to be recovered, rather than living forever in recovery. Relapse can be any return to an old behaviour. It is any event that interrupts the change process. A person who has relapsed may enter the change process at any point. Smart Recovery's approach is to see this as a learning opportunity by using the ABCs. It can show what adjustments are needed. Most importantly, we want to help a person to avoid the trap of the abstinence violation effect. That is, taking on the belief that, I blew it again, I can't do this, I might as well go all the way. So how does the stages of change help a facilitator? Firstly, it can help you to choose the tools and exercises that are stage specific. It can be used as a tool to help members make sense of their own processes of change. Success is defined as moving ahead to the next stage, and if a person relapses, you can use the stages of change model to help them re-enter the process as soon as possible. The readiness ruler exercise can help a person determine their change score. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it to make the change? How confident are you in your ability to change? How motivated are you to try changing?